If you can't control yourself, then you're in a lot of trouble in this world, right? Because when you just naturally are yourself doing things, you're going to offend people. You learn early on we're social animals. I have to tailor my behavior, If you go on babbling all about how you feel and think, etc., and you just say what's the first thing on your mind, you're going to end up having a very, very short career. You're going to be saying things that are going to offend people. You're going to be making a fool of yourself. You're going to be saying things that you end up regretting, right? So you have no self-control. And if you see somebody who has no self-control, it makes you look like you're not powerful. If you can't control yourself, how can you control anything in your environment? Your aggression, your assertiveness, your testosterone, it's a good thing. It's how things get done. It's what energizes you, what puts you in the world. What makes you ambitious, what makes you assert yourself and motivate yourself. It has to be channeled, it has to be disciplined. But you have to see who you are and see the virtue in it and see the power in that. And it's a cultural problem because men are very confused. I didn't have that confusion when I was growing up, So now it's very difficult because you're being told that all these things that you feel naturally are negative. They're only negative if you can't control them. So self-control is a very masculine quality. You're able to control yourself. You're able to control your passions. You're able to not talk too much if you don't need to talk too much. I could be a real bastard. I could be a real asshole. I'm very competitive. When I play games, I like to win. And I can be a little bit mean about it. Okay, I'm a pleaser, but I like winning. I channeled it, all of my aggression, all of that testosterone. I'm not saying I have more than anyone, I just have normal amounts. I poured it into my books. I poured that edge, that aggression, that damn you, I don't really like you, I don't like the world, into the 48 laws of power. Into here's how these is how people manipulate, these are how people can be bad and cruel. And damn it, I'm going to get at all my aggression by exposing it and showing it and being as real and direct. I channel it into something as opposed to hurting other people kind of thing. So finding ways to channel your aggressive tendencies is a positive way of being a man. You have to find whatever that is. I want you to be a little more humble in this world and not be so arrogant and not think that you are somehow exempt from having a dark side, that somehow you were born with a halo over your head, that you were born different, you don't have human nature, that you're a saintly person, you're much better. Get rid of your moral superiority because I find that deeply offensive. We are all cut from the same cloth. We all have the same flaws. And when you look at yourself, and when I wrote the laws of human nature, I'm going, damn it, Robert, you have a dark side. You're a narcissist. I had to come to terms with my irrationality, my grandiosity, my aggressive instincts. But it's the only way to change yourself is to be aware that you have these issues. I have the narcissistic tendencies. Now I see it. All right, now when they pop up, I can control it better. I can say, damn, Robert, you're being too self-absorbed. Think more about the other person. But if you go around in life thinking, I don't have any of these problems, I'm not a narcissist, you're never going to have the awareness to stop the fact that you are actually one. That's how I approach all of these flaws. You can't run away from them. You can't run away from your shadow, your dark side. You can make it work for you. You can make it positive and productive and healthy. You can become a healthy narcissist, which is a name that I use in the book. You can use your dark side for positive purposes. Let's say you have a lot of anger inside, and I had a lot of anger when I was younger. I was a very angry young man, right? Channel that into some kind of cause. I have a lot of causes that I believe in very deeply. And when I was younger, I was like that. Channel that energy into something productive and helpful and put it into something that goes to something that helps society. That's using your dark side for positive purposes. Because the dark side of human nature has a lot of creativity, has a lot of energy. An artist has to have a dark side. You use your dark side because all those dark emotions, all the people that shat on you in your life, they inspire you. They create your best work. Don't run away from your shadow. Don't run away from your narcissism. Use it in a healthy way. You have to be smart, and you have to be in control of yourself, and you have to be disciplined. But let's just add discipline to one of those other masculine virtues. It just needs to be redefined. We need people out there, men and even women, who feel comfortable with this, saying these are the virtues. These are the good sides of being a man and being masculine. And so even mastering things and even being competitive is not bad. You build a business that kicks ass, that does really well, that gives people certain things that they needed or they wanted. So it's just a matter of how you channel that energy and how you control it. And what the virtues are is self-control, not feeling like you have to put people down in order to raise yourself up, feeling confident, not having to boast. A terrible toxic masculinity quality is boasting and saying, look how much money I have, look how much women I've slept with, look at all this other thing. You're just talking. It's just a lot of hot air. That's not strong. That's actually weak. So many powerful qualities actually come from a position of great weakness and insecurity. When I look at leaders who are always like boasting and talking about, all the great things that they've done, I see a little insecure, little weak child having to say these things, right? So it just depends on whether it comes from something solid and strong, or it comes from massive wells of insecurity. There are things that excite you in a kind of a quick way, like, where you have to relieve some tension, and there's entertainment, and there's things that kind of give you pretty immediate gratification. And there's the larger picture of something that will give you fulfillment over years to come. So you can feel that when you're older, and you can pay attention to it. But a lot of the time we're paying too much attention to the immediate pleasures of life, to what gives us instant gratification, and that's what we're grabbing for. So this is a much more kind of deeper process. And what prevents people from going through that process, which would be the subject of my book, is basically anxiety. Because I think how you handle anxiety is the most important kind of quality in life. It'll determine whether you will be successful, whether you will find your career path, or whether you won't be able to. I don't know if you can follow that idea at all. But anxiety is a signal to you that you don't understand something, that there's a problem out there that you can't resolve. And so what happens to most people if you're insecure is you glom onto something instant and easy to get rid of your feeling of anxiety. I don't understand this problem. Oh, it must be A. A must be the answer because this person said that, right? And so you don't develop the ability to think. You don't develop the ability to go to the next level. But if you take that anxiety and you go, all right, maybe A is an answer. And then you start going through A, and then you go, no, maybe A isn't the answer. Maybe B is the answer. You're able to surmount your anxiety and go past it, come further and further and further. You don't rush for the first available answer that's out there, right? You're able to go through a process of refining things. And so in your career, if you're anxious for success, if you're anxious for money, you're going to make the wrong choices. But if you're able to deal with that anxiety and say, maybe I have to think more deeply about where I'm going, I have to come up with other alternatives, then you're going to make a much better choice, on and on and on. So if you're a creative person, it's very, very challenging to have that blank piece of paper before you, that book that you haven't written, that film or whatever. You're filled with a lot of anxiety, and you have to deal with it. And if you're able to turn it into something creative and productive, then great things will happen. You'll create a masterpiece. So the ability to deal with anxiety and to not give in to the most instant gratification that you can get is, to me, a marker of somebody who will be creative and will invent something, as opposed to people who just recycle old and dead ideas. Too much choice is very detrimental to the human being, I think. And that's why, going back to what I originally said, when you have that sense of purpose about your life, about what's important, it not just infects your career, but it infects everything you do. So you know eating this food is going to drain me of my energy that I need to create this thing that means so much to me. And energy and feeling my brain active and alive is an incredibly important value. All right, I'm not going to eat all that sugar because it's bad for me, right? It means I'm not going to get outraged by these things on the internet because it's a waste of time. I can't do anything about it. It's just feeding on my, I forget the part of the brain that's like the amygdala or whatever, right? So no, I don't want to go there, right? And on and on and on. All these things in social media, yeah, some of it's good, some of it's interesting. I can follow Andrew Huberman's podcast and I enjoy that and I learn a lot from him. But a lot of these podcasts are useless. They're not helping me in any way. The thing is, when you figure out that primal inclination, that grain that's inside of you, then you have the energy to be disciplined, to go through boring tasks, to learn. You learn at a faster rate because you're emotionally engaged. When you're emotionally engaged in a subject, the brain learns twice, 3 times, 4 times as fast as when you're not. Constant pressure and stress and pressure is not a bad thing. We have this thing where we feel like stress is bad. It's bad for you. Bad. You need to relax, man. You need to chill. Stress will kill you. No, being bored will kill you. Not having anything to do will kill you. Is much more dangerous than stress. You can almost think of it like barometric pressure. When necessity is pressing in on you, like your back is against the wall, like you have to get something done, and there's like this pressure around you, you find energy in there that you never believed before. William James talks about this, and when he talks about getting a second wind, he explains it very eloquently. When you feel like your life's in danger, suddenly you can leap over things that you never could leap over before. So Sun Tzu says, put an army on death ground and it will fight until it wins. Meaning, put an army with its back to the ocean or a back to the mountain, and it's either win or die. They're going to fight 10 times harder. You're going to find the energy in you that you normally lack when death is facing you in the face, or urgency, or deadlines, or people pressing in on you. When that barometric pressure loosens up and there's none of it, you think you have all the time in the world, you get nothing done. Wow, man, I'm 23. I've got all these years ahead of me. I'm going to figure it out, right? I'm not going to die. I got 50, 70, 80 years ahead of me. No, you don't. That pressure now is gone and you're wasting time. You're doing all sorts of things that aren't leading to any kind of skill. You're not learning or anything. You need to put yourself on death ground. You need to feel that barometric pressure, which is the actual reality. The actual reality is you could die tomorrow. You could have a stroke tomorrow. You could be fired tomorrow. Everything could fall apart. You need to have that sense of urgency now because that's the reality. You're fooling yourself by thinking you have all of this time. Look at it this way. We worship technology. It's our new religion, okay? And we worship ChatGPT as if it's a god. Seriously, there's religious elements going on here. What we really should worship is the human brain, which is the greatest creation in the known universe, I'm afraid. It is the most complex piece of matter in the entire universe. The number of neurons, the number of synapses, the number of possible connections between neurons is infinite, practically infinite. It is a wondrous instrument. It is so powerful, we've barely scratched the surface of what we can use for it. Let us worship that brain that's in your head. You only have so many years to use it. You have only so many years to develop it.